Sonic Advance 2 is the second game in the popular handheld series and was released on the Game Boy Advance in 2003. The game was well received upon release and went on to sell over 1 million copies. Sonic Advance 2 is a platformer combining the style of Sonic from the Sega Dreamcast titles and mixing it with the 2D game design from the Sega Genesis games. First things first, Sonic controls pretty great, with predictable jumping, good momentum, a homing attack, and of course the spin dash. In addition to these moves, he can perform some tricks after bouncing off a spring or coming off a ramp by holding the R button and a direction on the D-pad. The most useful of these is a second jump, which is helpful for reaching new areas and occasionally required to progress through the level. The level design in Sonic Advance 2 can best be described as taking the sheer speed from the first Sonic titles and then mixing that with the massive levels featured in Sonic 3 and Knuckles. At first I was a bit overwhelmed by their design, and sometimes confused by the sheer size of these levels, but once you get a feel for how they were meant to be played, they are an absolute joy. To truly be successful, you have to memorize the layouts, especially later on. This will allow you to be moving at full velocity for a majority of each level, and quite frankly, it's a ton of fun. It truly brought me back to the 16-bit glory days when Sonic ruled the world. The difficulty curve ramps up slowly at first, and the first 4 zones can be breezed through without learning any of Sonic's new moves. However, when you reach Sky Cannon, that second jump feature I mentioned earlier is now a must. About the only downer here are the boss battles. Each of the battles against Eggman feels similar and are all flawed. First off, you're constantly running, so actually getting up to Eggman while avoiding his attacks is a giant pain in the ass. Second, the hitboxes on Eggman himself are small, and you'll often lose rings when you think you're going to land a hit. They all feel rather uninspired, and it's a jarring change in quality after racing through the awesome levels. In addition to the straightforward platforming, Sonic Advance 2 does feature a collection element. In each act are 7 special rings that you can collect. Collecting all 7 without dying will grant you access to this special stage, where you have a chance to earn one of the 7 Chaos Emeralds. Collecting things in Sonic games has never interested me, and I certainly didn't bother with it here, but hey, if you're looking for a deeper platforming experience, it's available. Normal gameplay will unlock 3 additional characters. Tails returns with his flying ability and a tail whip attack. Knuckles is also here, complete with his gliding and wall climbing in addition to a punching attack. Cream the Rabbit is also playable with the ability to fly like Tails. Her attack is somewhat unique in that her Chow will attack enemies while you stand at a safe distance. If you beat the game with all 4 characters, Amy Rose is unlocked. There is minimal story here, with just a few lines of dialogue when a new character is unlocked. Sonic almost seems annoyed by the whole experience, which is kinda funny to read. Graphically, Sonic Advance 2 holds up well. The locations are all very unique, with huge variations in color palettes and style. They all do maintain that pseudo 3D look from the Genesis games, which is something I find quite appealing. Most importantly, the game runs at a blistering pace and gives a wonderful sensation of speed. The music sadly doesn't quite match up to the rest of the presentation. A lot of it feels like some trippy club music and doesn't always fit the environments. The compositions are fine, but nothing here is likely to ever get stuck in your head. The sound effects also have a really lousy compressed sound to them, but perhaps there is some limitation to the Game Boy Advance hardware that I am not aware of. Overall, I was a bit blown away by Sonic Advance 2. Despite being a portable title, there is a console-sized game lurking within. It does a wonderful job capturing what I love most about the Sonic the Hedgehog series, adds a new trick system that doesn't get in the way of the gameplay, and has some rather impressive level design. Most importantly, Sonic Advance 2 is an incredibly fun game. If it weren't for the lackluster music and boring boss battles, this would have been nearly perfect. Instead, it's just awesome. 4 out of 5.